Well, this is unexpected. I don't often have visitors. What do you want? This is my study that you've happened upon.
So, create your sorcerer and name it whatever, your favorite thing. So, the burial gift you are going to be using is the young white branch. The reason for this is because it will make the giant in the undead settlement friendly to you for the rest of the game as long as you keep the branch in your inventory. This is very useful because he will fire arrows at the hollows instead of at you, and as a sorcerer you can be really shut down by those arrows when you're trying to cast. Now, what you're going to want to do is put your staff in your offhand and your dagger in your main hand. So you're going to be able to use the weapon art of your staff while still maintaining the damage of having a dagger in the other hand. I don't personally use the shield. Coming up here, you're going to have the Grave Warden Hollow, who dies in one hit from a soul arrow and is basically free souls. There's really no reason to ever die from these guys. They are easy. The Ravenous Crystal Lizard, however, is extremely resistant to magic, is easily staggered, however, and is one of the many fights we will have that requires melee. So here we're just going to speed through and just fire your regular soul arrow, not the heavy, at all of them. And then run up to the Crystal Lizard room, where you can get a cheeky manual aim if you get lucky, or if you don't press auto target like me. When he reels back and you are a good distance away, he will most likely do a breath attack. You can probably iframe through this, however I would recommend just waiting it out. The next attack he does is a leap. This will just emit an AoE that you can iframe through and then get a massive punish off. And a massive punish is just 2 hits or a spellcast. When he reels back, he is going to crash down with the same AoE as the leap. And with this, you also get another normal punish. When he goes into this position, he is going to swipe at you with his claw, just roll backwards, and get upwards of 2 punishes. So you can hit him about 4 times here pretty safely with a dagger. He's pretty close to staggering. When he reels back and his head tilts right to your right, he will roll. And this, you just roll away to the side, don't roll back or forward. When he staggers, move over to the front of his head to get a visceral attack. And then you get free hits after the visceral. When he reels back like this, he's going to bite. I do not recommend trying to punish this bite, because there are variants where he bites 2, 3, or 4 times. And I would recommend just getting away. The rest of this fight is mostly just rinsing and repeating what you were already doing before. Just remember to look at the way his head tilts when he reels back. That is really the dead giveaway of this boss, and a mini boss, I should say. But I know when I first started out, especially as a sorcerer, this guy gave me a lot of trouble. So hopefully this helps anyone trying to get this Crystal Lizard, because killing him does net you quite a lot of souls for the early game, which is what is going to let you level what I intend you to level here. So you're just going to grab a Titanite scale, I believe that is, and those are pretty useless for us. We're not going to be soul transposing any weapons on this run, although you can, if you wish. You can soul transpose I believe it's the Crystal Sage's rapier. But that's about all I could think of. Coming up into here, we're going to really dig kind of deep into manual aiming, because this is very useful for killing people that you can't lock onto yet, since when you can't lock onto them, they aren't aggroed onto you most of the time. So right here, all we're going to do is point our head at him. Once your head is pointed, you can aim in these areas. This is about your limits. Up and down, there is barely any limit. However, side to side, you can't really aim it from side to side. So your head, where your head is pointing, is basically where it's going to fly, unless you're aiming vertically. Now for these guys sitting down, you can manually aim them for some practice, or you can just beat them down with your dagger. And then the rest should really just be soul arrowed. With these bowmen, you're really going to want to wait for them to either manual aim it like that, if you're very comfortable with manual aiming, or wait for them to shoot first before you cast, because as sorcerers, we really don't get any poise. I mean, really, I shouldn't say really, I should say never. Sorcerers and poise really never happen. We get countered, like crush countered, if you want to call it that. My guys from fighting game communities. We get super countered, I believe it's called here. So coming up next is Gundyr. He has a very low health pool, very wide reach, and very delayed attacks. His second phase also boasts a pretty scary transformation. However, that second phase as a sorcerer is pretty much a joke. Now coming up to Gundyr, you have the option here of using your weapon art on your staff. However, my kill times on Udex don't really change that much when you use the weapon art, so I don't really care to here to conserve FP. When he stabs you like this, he's going to go into a combo. The second hit here is a sweep that is long reaching and very delayed. Remember to dodge when the attack comes out and not when the animation starts. Here is also a very wide sweeping, very delayed attack. This is kind of his specialty. Again, dodge when the animation is finishing rather than when it is beginning. As you can see, I dodged it and got glancing blowed. So when he goes into his second phase, he does have the ability to close the distance on you quite easily. Here I get greedy, however I am able to roll away because, as you can see, your recovery ends about when the arrow hits him. After that leap, he is going to do that swipe almost every time. So just run away like I'm doing here and create a big gap between you. He will start walking, and that is your window to unleash all your spells into him. A lot of bosses are like that, where they have these walking animations that they're semi-committed to. I know Twin Princess has it. And when they are semi-committed to these animations, you can very easily take them out. Coming up next is going to be one of the first human NPCs, or the first human NPC. It is an enemy NPC, weak to heavy soul arrow because it staggers him. And then we have the dog, which is easily knocked down. However, in packs, they will never let you cast. So this is pretty much a dagger enemy. Or a melee enemy, whatever you want to choose. I personally do prefer the dagger because it has a small sweeping AoE range, like not as much as a proper sword, but I see people using the rapier sometimes, and I do not like it because it has none of that AoE potential. So coming up to the Swordmaster, I am going to buff here simply because I don't have any more Ash and Estus Flask, and I would like these all to count. This is how pretty much every non-human NPC fight is going to go. Non-human is a non-player. You're going to just spam your slowest, heaviest spell at them, and they're pretty much going to walk at you and take it in the face. I fought every single human NPC, and they all pretty much fall to this same strategy just as easily as Swordmaster did. And if you come through here on a melee character, Swordmaster might be a little difficult. So this is one of the first times that it really feels nice to be a sorcerer. And those are few and far between, so this is a very nice moment. So when we come here, we're getting ready to spend our souls, and I'd like to explain why I go the route that I do. So when you do your first batch of levels, it's very important to pick the right things, in my opinion at least, especially as a sorcerer, because our early game is hell. So because of our early game being hell, you're going to want to put some points into vigor. I like going 12 vigor, 18 attunement because that gets you your next attunement slot, 20 int, and 12 vigor, and that is what I find to be the most optimal setup for early game sorcerers like Lothric Highwall sorcerers. And that is about it for this. Next, we are going to be doing Lothric Highwall. See ya.
Indeed, I am a sorcerer, with plenty to share